Welcome, everyone, to Mind Model Mastery Secrets. I'm Ashley and I'm here with Blair Dunkley. And today we're going to be talking about clarity versus confusion and how confusion is one of those magical things that we need in order to gain clarity and also to be able to grow our brain. And so we're going to dive in and talk a little bit about, right off the get-go, about how our brain actually likes confusion. It likes to solve problems. And so, Blair, do you want to chat a little bit about how our brain wants to solve problems and how when we use certain language when we're confused, it can actually promote us finding solutions?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ashley. It is so critical when we are in that magical spot of being confused, that sensation. Okay, let me back up for just one second. Okay, so all of our emotions, um, most people don't know this, but our emotions are in our brain and in our body are chemical in nature.
Hmm.
They're called neuropeptides. And there's lots of neuropeptides. And neuropeptides have got a lot of crazy properties, such that the molecule themselves can change shape. They can morph.
Hmm.
So that it is the shape of the molecule itself that actually gives us the emotion. So um, now, that neuropeptide, that molecule of emotion, when you get the right bunches of them together, and a molecule in the right shape. And it's not just a molecule, it's a grouping of molecules. So I don't want to oversimplify it. It's fairly complex. So, but at the end of the day, neuroscientists have figured out that these emotional molecules, when we have the right grouping of them, cause us to feel confused. Now, confusion sort of comes in a couple of ways of us taking that information, that confusion, and applying it. Now, we are confused, and basically we get confused because we need to survive. We were like hunted by saber-toothed tigers and that sort of thing. But the whole thing here is we needed to figure a way out and survive. So those of us that didn't get creative, didn't get curious, didn't make it. So we're left with a whole bunch of people that made it. And as a result, we were curious enough to figure out a way to survive this.
Hmm.
Now, we're not faced with saber-toothed tigers all the time anymore at all, actually. They're obviously extinct. But we have other things that we fear. So
Hmm.
we have fears that are brought in, and my apologies for that. We have fears that are ineffective and fears that are effective. We also have a whole host of things that are in confusion that confuse us, but at the same point in time, we don't necessarily deal with confusion all in the same way. So,
Is fear connected to fear? Or sorry, is
um,
confusion connected to
confusion,
fear?
it's, well, yes and no.
Hmm.
We can have things that we are and again, if you're the person that defaults into curiosity, the odds are that you're going to be a little bit afraid, maybe very, very little, but all of a sudden you're going to start getting curious about what you can do differently. And those who default into, who are, you know, confused, but they go and they name and label themselves as confused, stupid, dumb, I can't figure this out. All of a sudden, they move more towards the fear side
Hmm.
of things. So, and that fear, so we have two paths that we can exit confusion from. One is far more effective than the other, and that is going towards curiosity. And one of the things that I've noticed when I've worked with high-end clients is the clients that are way more successful tend to like and enjoy being confused because they know they have something that they can learn from, that they know that they can tweak and change and explore the possibilities to gain clarity.
Hmm.
So, that is a huge leverage. Those who go into confusion and go into a fear mode and don't go towards curiosity are more likely going to stay stuck.
Hmm.
And they just are going to blame themselves, blame others, whatever, and they whirl around and it's like running on a treadmill or, a, you know, hamster wheel and getting nowhere fast.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't work well. But the real key thing here is with functional curiosity. When we have those neuropeptides in there and we have curiosity and we start sorting that through, there's a really interesting thing because we start growing new ganglia based on the neurochemicals, the neuropeptides in our brain when we feel confusion. Now,
Mhm.
that's true for dysfunctional as well as functional, but it's what do we reinforce? Do we reinforce curiosity or do we reinforce our stuck state or fearful state or whatever?
Yeah, I'm gonna just pause there because I don't think you've labeled the functional confusion and the dysfunctional confusion yet. So basically, there's two types of confusion, and one is functional confusion and one is dysfunctional confusion. And you kind of went into describing them, but I just want to make sure that it's very clear there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So no, that's highly effective. So thank you. So the functional confusion is the part where we're going to focus on mostly today, because we want to know. And one of the key things I do want everybody to know is if they perceive that they're having dysfunctional confusion, they can actually turn that around by engaging curiosity and starting to be, curious about what might I do differently,
Yeah.
not what might you or somebody else do differently. What might I do differently? Because we can only control ourselves. That's the only place where you're really like in the mind model self-other situation. Self you can control. Others you can influence. Situation you can influence, but self you can actually control.
And
And since, sorry,
sorry,
go ahead.
would you say that the main driver of dysfunctional confusion is fear?
That's one of them. And the other one is a why loop.
Mm.
And a
So
why, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, can you describe a little bit more of that why loop? Because we haven't really covered that on this podcast yet. For people
No,
that know you and know your work, they'll know what you mean. But
no.
I know I've also heard you call it a limbic loop for other people that might understand the brain a little bit of how it works.
Exactly. So our limbic center is all about our emotions. And the work that I did on question concepts, um, that actually gave me a way of listening to people talk and recognize when they go, why me? Why you? Why did this happen? Why didn't they? Why didn't I? All of these why questions. And I'm personally not a fan of find your big why or your whatever. And if your why isn't big enough to make you cry, like,
Yeah.
that's all around stuck states.
Yeah.
And so that's not beneficial or effective. So what I want to do is get people out of stuck states and get into resourceful states.
Hmm.
And resourceful states focuses on what's and how's.
Yeah.
And what's generate a list of one or more things or events. What might I do differently? A list. I might do this, one, two, three, four, five,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I can create that list and then start checking them off and trying them out and seeing what might work.
Hmm.
So that gives us, by the way, that whole thing of what gets us into curiosity,
Yeah.
which now impacts that functional confusion.
Yeah.
So when we're functionally confused and we ask, well, what might I learn from this? Or what don't I know?
Hmm.
And all of a sudden we start figuring out, well, that's what I don't know. What do I know?
Hmm.
I know one, two, and three. Can I build off one, two, or three? to move forward, to take that next step? And the answer is quite often yes,
Yeah.
because we have all of these things that I call resourceful states, but they're all dormant in your brain.
Yeah.
What we're not doing is we're not connecting the dots.
Hmm.
So we don't see them as possibilities until we literally ask questions.
Yeah.
Now, if we're telling ourselves with dysfunctional curiosity that why can't I do this? Why can't I see this? Like, yeah, they're technically questions, but they're questions that prove that you can't.
Yeah.
And I think Henry Ford was the one that sort of coined this phrase. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. And if you take another step and if you tell yourself you can, you probably can.
Yeah.
You can figure it out. But if you tell yourself you can't
Yeah.
because you don't look for it.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can't find it.
And so are you able to speak a little bit to how like our brain actually wants to solve problems? And when you leave an open question for your brain, it wants to solve that. And that's where we've talked a little bit about using like, I don't know this yet, or if I did know what might be the answer, and those kind of language patterns to get your brain to start going in that direction.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds like you were on the show last night.
Yes.
Well, those were things that came up on BD 360.
Yeah.
So, I mean, seriously, if you don't know, like if you're telling yourself, well, I don't know this, we can just leave it there and hold ourselves stuck. Or if we go, I don't know yet, then, and then if you go, I don't know, but might I be able to find a way through? Might I be able to discover something different?
So
Um,
when you use that language, though, what is happening in your brain that actually helps you find the solution?
Okay, these are thought experiments that you can run on yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just sit back and ask yourself, well, I don't know, and leave it there, okay, that's one thought experiment. Feel how that is in
Yeah.
your body. Get a sense of what happens in your mind. Does your mind pop into all kinds of ideas, or does it just go blank?
Yeah.
Well, most people that I've run this on, their brain just goes blank.
Yeah. Unless you're
But
in a Y loop and then or Olympic loop, and then you're gonna go into that whole story of I don't know, and then the poor me, I don't know this for this reason, it's your fault or whatever it is.
okay, but all of those reasons or excuses or rationalizations come from your past,
Mm-hmm.
and your brain seeks out past evidence.
Yeah.
But this is an important idea.
Yeah.
Your
Because when you
brain is finding things that aren't working.
yeah. And so that's
Okay,
where when you use the words yet or what might I know, you're moving it into the future possibility of the unknown.
absolutely. Well, yeah, but I might not know yet,
Yeah.
or you know, I may not understand it completely at
Yeah.
this point in time, or I might be able to.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're opening up possibilities.
Yeah.
And where does your brain go?
It goes to searching for those possibilities instead of staying stuck in your past loop.
Well, hold it. You're saying stuck. You're saying
Yeah.
staying stuck.
Yeah.
But think about it. Did your brain actually go and stay stuck when you said, I don't know, and I don't know because of this, and this? Or I can't do it because I don't have the skills. I don't have the experience. I don't have this. I don't have that. Your brain is awfully creative right at that moment, finding and connecting all of these resources to
Yeah.
hold you stuck.
Yeah.
That's what the brain is literally doing in that moment. And it seems a little counterintuitive, but that's actually where I started noticing these patterns back in
Mhm.
the day when I was coaching at Life Skills,
Yeah.
because we had a lot of, well, 100% of our clients had some form of mental health issue.
Hmm.
And a lot of them said, well, either I can't do that or I don't know.
Yeah.
When they threw up their hands and said, I don't know, and I required them to do this thought experiment, I don't know yet. all of a sudden you would watch somebody go from being really frustrated to, oh, their brain opens up for a split second. Now, if I said nothing to my student at that point, their brain immediately snaps into, see, I told you so.
Yeah.
But I learned that's that second that I've got to, interfere with that pattern that's in their head. And I need to say, catch them because they'd have this little, I don't know yet. And do you notice that like slight, almost smile, smirk? And then I could say, hey, I just caught you.
Yeah.
Your brain lit up for a split second and
Yeah.
then it faded away.
Hmm.
And they said, no, 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 you're making this stuff up. So whipping out the video camera back in the day and videotaping these people doing this,
Yeah.
I did. Like this is almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And so the brain is seeking something. It just doesn't have that neural pathway that is big enough to overwhelm all the stuff you've practiced about beating yourself up.
Yeah.
But
So
if, go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, I'm gonna shift gears. So if you have something more to say about
No,
it.
no, no. Well, just a little bit.
Yeah.
If you don't spend any time
Yeah.
finding positives in your life,
Yeah.
it's very hard to find positives in your life.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you're looking for a yet, you're sort of unequipped or ill-equipped to find possibilities.
Hmm.
But if all you've done is beaten yourself up, well, you're really good at that.
Yeah.
Remember, whatever you do most often is what your brain gets really good at.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation right
Oh
there.
God, gosh.
Sure.
I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Both of us are like ready to run that way.
Yeah, really.
But no, for what I was talking about, like you talked about the brain lighting up when you had your client say yet. And then we've talked on previous podcasts about how our brain wants to produce or wants to expel the least amount of energy. It wants to conserve
Yes.
energy. And so what is the difference there of it wanting that possibility but yet wanting to conserve energy? Do they contradict each other ever?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
frequently. Like again, well, hold it. Yes and no.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's whatever you've practiced. Again, going back to
Yeah.
my very successful people that
Yeah.
are, millionaires and almost like doing hundreds of millions, and their brain craves
Mm.
that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And they love the puzzle. They
Yeah.
love solving that problem.
Hmm.
And so that's really one of the talents that our brains do. And our brains naturally are predisposed because solving those puzzles is all about, survival, literally.
Yeah.
Because finding food, doing everything, and you go, oh, I found some berries.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh, I found an animal or a carcass or something else I can eat today. Yay. Well, now I can develop hunting pathways. Yay. I can get it more predictably. Yay. All of these little yays
Yeah.
are reinforcing in your brain something that it wants to remember and it wants to do again because it found a simple way of getting calories.
Mm.
And the brain operates on sort of a calorie balance. And it wants to minimize the amount of calories it has to spend,
Yeah.
but get the maximum amount of benefit.
Hmm.
Well, if we're beating ourselves up, we might be meeting the minimum requirement for expending calories, but we are not building more um, value to the food that we're getting. We're not, building up opportunities for ourselves to make more money in life or do anything else. We're telling us what we can't do.
Hmm.
So you'll find alternative survival modes, which means, oh, I got to get myself on social assistance. I got to get myself on these other things, but I don't feel good about doing that. So but that gives me I don't have to learn more. I don't have to spend more calories in my brain to learn how to change myself, but then I only get so far, so I keep on going on this wheel, like again hamster wheel, where you get nowhere fast in life. It's
Hmm.
only when you make that commitment to expend the energy to change your stuck state,
Yeah.
your state that you are repeating, that
Hmm.
you can actually begin to break free.
Yeah.
And that's true for everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and for me, like what I like about that is like it kind of ties into another conversation of when, like back in the day when we're surviving off of like hunting and gathering and all that kind of stuff, we didn't have anyone teaching us how to survive. It was all new, all inventing, all innovation. And something that I find really cool about mind models specifically is that it's a way to get yourself unstuck and solve problems and create success in your life in any capacity without actually needing a coach, a therapist, someone teaching you everything. And I think it comes down to this mind model of clarity versus confusion, of allowing yourself to ask questions to create innovation. And obviously, you would have to evaluate as well, but create innovation on your own. And it kind of comes back down to the bare bones of mind models, where this is the stuff that teaches you how to think so that you don't need someone else telling you what to do. And like you mentioned, we had a show last night, so or 2 nights ago for when everyone's watching this. So Blair offers his time freely on Tuesday nights doing a Blair Dunkley experience, and we talked about clarity versus confusion. And so we are always going to be piggybacking all of our Thursday recordings here are going to be piggybacking off of that. So if you guys want some deep dives, join us Tuesday and then come back here Thursday. But one of the guests on the show was talking about asking or being confused and asking a 2-year-old for a question. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that when we're asking questions and getting curious, our nature is to ask the teacher, ask the boss, ask the professional, and with mind models, we ask ourselves.
Right.
And we can be that innovative when we truly understand clarity versus confusion to be able to come up with all of the solutions that we need when we understand how to think.
Well, I wouldn't quite say all of them,
Yeah,
but we can figure out pathways to figure them out.
yeah,
And so we can go, oh, I don't know this. I'm
hmm,
not, the expert in this area. Therefore, I need to find somebody who is, or find a book. Or now it's I need to go to ChatGPT, or I need to, jump in there and just ask that to
yeah,
see what it might do.
yeah,
But then you've got to test, especially with, large language model, AI. You have to see, is it making bullshit up?
yeah,
Because it will. It
hmm,
really will. So you have to be cautious and then apply your brain and think, is this reasonable?
yeah,
And go, I can test this to see if it can work. And sometimes you can even, I've done it where I've asked ChatGPT to test this out. Give me a test so I can confirm this in the real world. What you just told me, give me a test
yeah,
so I can find out if this is true in the real world or not.
hmm,
And usually it is, sometimes it isn't.
hmm. And so, with learning how to think, though, what I'm saying is that you don't necessarily need the experts, unless you want to deep dive into neuroscience or something like that. If you simply learn these basic principles and allow yourself to be confused and allow yourself to ask the questions, you literally can find the answers that you need to solve your own problems. And that's what makes
Exactly.
this so empowering.
Yeah, see, there's a big difference between mindset and mind models
Yeah.
because mindset, people are telling you what to think and what to believe,
Hmm.
and in some cases, what to feel.
Yeah.
And, mind models, they're not like that at all.
No.
Mind models actually teach you how to think,
Hmm.
and every mind model is externally testable.
Yeah.
So you can verify it for yourself. And when it doesn't work, you then know, oh, this mind model did not work in this situation. But what that means is you chose an ineffective mind model. That's all.
Yeah.
Because every mind model was tested actually to 80% effectiveness. So, and by the way, mindset works 1% of the time.
Yeah.
And mind models work 80% of the time. That makes the difference 8,000 times better.
Yeah.
So,
So have you ever found it where like a mind model truly doesn't work though. Like in my personal experience, which is a lot less than yours as the creator and the founder of mind models. But for me personally, I've never found it to not move me in some way, at least to a better, more effective mind model. But even then, like if I use a mind model that's not the most effective, I'm still seeing progress. I'm still seeing movement.
Yes.
Unless I'm completely out of the box, but I don't even have an example of that. But like, there's definitely that like those out of the box situations where it's like, oh, what color is the sky? And it's like, oh, there's dirt on the ground. Like if I'm using my models like that, then obviously, but using my tools and my resources of my understanding of mind models, I've never found a mind model to not be effective in moving me forward.
Exactly, because one of the mind models, the three E's, the first of the three E's is effective versus ineffective. So you ask yourself, you're testing this, is this effective? Well, you can go, no, it wasn't effective, it was ineffective. Then you go, great. So you then take the second one. Go, is it externally verifiable or internally verifiable? If it's internally verifiable, then it's only an opinion. But if you ran a test in the real world and it is externally verifiable where it didn't work, then you could take it to the third one and figure evaluation versus judgment.
Hmm.
If you're now taking a look at this and turning it into, an opinion that it didn't work, as opposed to an evaluation of what specifically didn't work, then you can actually find out because it didn't work the next step because it's valid information. When
Yeah.
you find out what doesn't work, it means you don't have to do that one again. You can pivot in a different direction. You do that 3 times
Hmm.
on just about anything, and you have enough information to figure out how to break through to see a pathway, not an answer,
Yeah.
but a pathway.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, life gets easier.
Yeah. And to caution, or not caution, but to say what no one wants to hear, the only time that doesn't work is if you don't want to find a pathway.
Exactly.
So there are situations where people do want to stay stuck and they think they tell themselves or they tell others that they don't want to feel stuck, but then part of them does and it keeps them there.
Yeah, because they don't do anything to change except complain about it.
Hmm.
And some people have built models around being, handicapped or
Yeah.
being stuck, being disabled
Mhm.
mentally usually. And they're now because one of the findings that I did at Life Skills, we had quite a few disabled people, but they weren't the ones that were usually stuck. They were the ones that had limitations that they needed to work around. And they were some of the most resourceful people that I'd ever met.
Yeah.
And I go, oh my gosh, if the rest of them would get clear on where they're going, then that would be it.
Hmm.
Um, so, my point being here is simply this. When we are effectively evaluating, we get to find out that next step.
Yeah.
And we don't, if we think we need to get an answer, we don't.
Yeah.
That's how come it's sort of the rule of three.
Hmm.
Always go out there and look for what are 3 things that I can attempt to do, and you attempt the first one and see what that does and evaluate that.
Hmm.
And then you build off that, like what part worked, what part didn't work. And
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's always one thing that worked. And that one thing is you attempted
Yeah.
because you got more data points.
Well, exactly. And I think that's the problem a lot with a lot of people right now that are stuck is they want someone else to fix it for them. They want the
Correct.
magical pill, and that doesn't happen. Like you said, it takes work, it takes attempts, and that's the only way that you're going to find solutions that eventually work for you. I'm a Reiki master, and one of the initial first creator of Reiki. There's a story about him about how he would go and he would heal people that were in the streets that were disabled and weren't able to go and work and provide for themselves. So he went and healed all these disabled beggars on the street. And then he comes back a year later and they're all back there. And he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "It's easier. This is easier." And so sometimes we will self-sabotage ourselves because there's a part of us that thinks it's easier to not find those solutions. And so with that situation, is there anything that you can recommend to help people move through that?
Well, the brain always wants to go to the
Hmm.
least effort.
Yeah.
And whatever you've practiced, whenever you've created a
Yeah.
habit pattern, that is the lowest level of effort your brain has to put in because it's got a super highway to
Yeah.
keep yourself screwed up.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to build a new highway and you have to choose
Hmm.
how do you want to run your life?
Yeah.
If you're constantly envious of other people having it all together and them moving ahead, and you
Yeah.
keep on saying, well, that was easy for them. Well, it is now, but it wasn't then. When they were pivoting, it wasn't that easy. They had to learn how to solve problems. They
Hmm.
had to learn how to cope with their issues in their life, and they had to make tough decisions about putting in the effort
Yeah.
to learn something new.
Yeah. And that's where we come kind of full circle back to that confusion as well, is
Exactly. You got
allowing
to
yourself.
want to be confused
Hmm.
with functional confusion so that you can actually start pivoting and going, hey, if I get this figured out, and by the way, all you got to do is keep working at it for the next 15 to 30 minutes, roughly 20 minutes on average, and your brain starts making the connections.
Hmm.
And you'll probably have some kind of aha moment where you go, oh, I get it
Yeah.
in that 20 to 30-minute window.
Hmm. Yeah.
Most people won't give themselves even that amount of time.
Hmm. Yeah, because we've trained ourselves not to.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the ones that do and they like it, they stick in there and they hang in there because they're waiting for that. Oh, wow, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share about clarity versus confusion?
Well, there's another mind model called clarity versus certainty.
Hmm.
And it's very close to clarity versus confusion. Pardon me. But we go after clarity as opposed to certainty because certainty, when we are in that clarity versus confusion and we get confused, we're certain we're confused.
Hmm.
If we are that type of person that goes, I am certain I am confused and I'm certain I won't get it.
Yeah.
Well, like I said with the Ford quote, you won't.
Yeah.
You're stuck because you're not looking for anything else. Therefore, you're not opening up that area of your brain to find that,
Hmm.
which you need to move forward, to get the clarity to move forward. And people keep on saying, we crave certainty.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, because we've been taught to crave certainty. That's the whole thing. It's great marketing when you can state somebody
Yeah.
and tell them this is exactly how you're going to feel and what you're going to get. And
Hmm.
the odds are of you getting that, I don't know if you've noticed, it's rare that you actually get what they promise.
Hmm.
But they're convincing you
Yeah.
that you'll get it.
Hmm.
Well, you didn't, and what's that saying? Um, Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Well, if you're buying into their story um, of all these promises, then you might need to learn how to evaluate yourself differently.
Hmm.
But go after the confusion and learn the minimum amount so you can evaluate the thing that you need to do differently to get a better life.
Yeah.
What do you need to do? What do you need to change?
Hmm. Well, I know for me, moving through your certification, like your coaching certification, certainty was my big hang up. Clarity versus certainty was my hardest one to get, to
Yep.
wrap my head around. It was the one that made my brain the most confused. But then also, because I've worked with you in many different places, um, with sales, moving clients out of certainty into clarity was one of the hardest tasks to achieve as well. And so, like, you're absolutely right. Like, especially when people are purchasing something, they're looking for certainty, they're looking for guarantee, they're looking for all of that. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's interesting how you brought it up because the three go together so much. And
Yep.
that's the other problem is because we're trained to be certain on things, it leaves no room for confusion. So it leaves no room for growth, if we're always certain.
Exactly. And one of my clients said, you know what I did, Blair, is I took my certainty, which I wanted so badly all the time, and went, I'm certainly confused right now.
Oh, funny.
And he went, this is amazing because I have certainty that if I don't resolve my confusion, I'll be
Hmm.
stuck here forever.
Yeah.
And when he saw it that way, it was like, boom, his brain blew up and he
Yeah.
went, wow, I
Hmm.
am motivated to tackle my confusion because I'm absolutely certain I can't move.
Yeah.
And he was not willing to stay where he was. He
Hmm.
did not like the fact that he wasn't growing, couldn't grow his business, yada yada yada. So
Yeah.
he had to move beyond it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a powerful place to be for sure.
Oh, hugely powerful.
Awesome. Well,
Mhm.
if you don't have anything else to add, I think this is a great place to wrap up. I really enjoyed diving deeper with you on this, and piggybacking off of our conversation on Tuesday night with your Blair Dunkley experience and getting to dive in even deeper of clarity versus confusion.
Thank you for watching. Continue learning by clicking one of the videos in front of you. Don't forget to subscribe and join our community for deeper dives into mind model mastery secrets. Give a like and leave a comment as we would love to engage with you more.